about red hangover. Again, not something to do with too much drinking, anything like that. It is Valentine's Day and the hangover from Valentine's Day.
Because a lot of people are getting engaged.
Yep.
That's right.
Kyle Odell here to talk about money, and this can really impact someone's pocket.
It really does, and so when your kids get engaged, that's the time to celebrate and enjoy it. What we end up seeing is that common sense and budgets, they get thrown out the window because we all get excited about the special event coming down the road, and we start talking about, we'll help you with the wedding, we'll do all this, and the kids expect then this big check, and so forth, and it throws things off. So at the beginning, pump the brakes a little bit. Celebrate, enjoy the moment, but pump the brakes on how much you're going to help the kids. Put that conversation off just a little bit, let things slow down so that you can take some time at some point, the proper time, to figure out how much you're going to help them with so that we don't end up committing to something where we're going to end up in credit card debt and having to go into our retirement accounts that that causes problems. That's just not a great idea. It's not even a good idea.
Well, right. So. You don't want, and especially if you're having to pay for the wedding yourself, I think that's another thing to talk about, to make sure that you are setting guidelines and to be realistic about what you can afford, because I've heard of people getting into a lot of debt to have a wedding, and then you start off your relationship in debt, and that's not fun.
Right. Debt and stress and everything. So as a parent, if you have saved money, then sit down with your son or daughter and say, look, this is how much we have set aside. Make sure the communication is there. If you haven't saved money, sit down and, like we've talked about, sit down, let's come up with a budget. How much can you help them with without going into credit card debt, without going into your retirement accounts? And one good area to maybe look at, and it should come from cash, but if you need to get into some type of asset, a lot of times your house, maybe a home equity line of credit or refinance and take out $10,000 or $15,000 to help the kids out is a decent area to go to, because so many families, you're exactly right, so many families end up going into a situation where it causes so much stress on their finances and with the kids, the relationship there. This should be a time where you're having fun, not stress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe save the planning for a little bit down the road too, because if you book things early, you can sometimes save money that way. And
right.
Yeah.
Right.
It seems to me that people spend an outrageous amount of money on weddings.
They do. The average here in Denver, 100 families were polled, and it was $34,000 was the average. And it goes so quickly. I mean, it really adds up.
Well, because it's not just the wedding. It's
right.
the actual wedding bands, it's the honeymoon, it's
everything.
It's the band,
it's
the second chocolate fountain.
Yeah, right. The flowers, the center arrangements. And I know my wife and I talked about that. Like, do we really need a center arrangement? Can we cut back on that so we can have more fun on our honeymoon?
So and flowers are pretty, but like they only last for a little while.
Right. That's what us guys think. Yeah. So Steve, that's right. Yeah.
That's where my brain.
You need to give a little in there, and so. But with all that, let's say I'm a parent though that I don't have the money to really help out. Okay. So to sit down and have a conversation with my kids and say, look, we don't have the money, it's not in our budget, but I want to help with the wedding. Because we know that planning for a wedding, it's an enormous task. Everything that comes along with it, from checking out the venues and calling around and getting the right one, setting up the entertainment and the centerpieces and the flowers and all that kind of stuff, right? So to sit down with your kids and say, look, we don't have the money, but I'd like to help with the wedding. This is my way to contribute. Let me help. But a big piece on that is open communication. Because what I find is, and we've all probably been exposed to this at some point, that the bride has her picture of the wedding, her mother has a picture of the wedding, the mother-in-law has a picture of the wedding. The sister, the best friend. So, right. So we need to,
like it's spoken from
and then
experience.
us guys are just along for the ride. So we need to make sure that we have good, clear communication. So if we are going to help, that we're helping the way that the bride wants that help and so forth, right? Good, clear communication. And that's going to help keep the stress down.
Yeah. Kyle, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll think about all that stuff going forward. You should too.